This is the second event as part of the partnership between Aspire for Her and Salesforce. I'm Preeti Bhaskaran, lead corporate partnerships at Aspire for Her, and I'll be your host for the evening. At Aspire for Her, we are working towards a vision of getting 1 million additional women into the workforce by 2025. Our partnership are with organizations who truly believe in diversity, and Salesforce is definitely one of them. As most of you would be aware, Salesforce is the #1 CRM or customer relationship management, bringing companies and customers together in the digital age. A lot of you here would have joined us for the first event with Salesforce, which was there last month, where you would have known more about Salesforce, its culture, its diversity focus, and its diversity-friendly policies. Today, we have an esteemed panel of Salesforce engineering leaders with us who will be talking to us about what are all the key emerging skills and technologies that women should learn, particularly in the engineering domain, and what platforms they should look at to learn these skills. Also, how women who are currently on a professional break can re-enter the corporate world in the engineering domain. The collaboration between Aspire for Her and Salesforce is to build a community and nurture it by sharing the knowledge of skills and technologies that can help this community build a career in engineering, especially in a product company like Salesforce. I'm sure each one of you has been looking forward to this event and can't wait to get started. So let's just do that. And before we start, there are some ground rules for everybody. So I'll just let you know the rules. Do let us know that you are here, be engaged, participate in the polls, and do ask all your questions. You may wish to take down a few notes, so please do keep a pen and paper handy. Do stay on till the end because the questions will be answered towards the end of the session. And you can put down your questions in the chat box, either during the session or when we are doing the Q&A. Please do note that there are some interesting giveaways or swags for the best questions. So do stay on till the end. And when you're putting down your question, please put down your name and contact numbers. The team at Aspire for Her and Salesforce will be deciding which are those best questions. Also, please know that we are joining in virtually. So, do bear with us in case there are any technical difficulties like connection issues, etc. And requesting the audience, apart from the Aspire for Her and Salesforce team, to keep yourself on mute and switch off your videos. And do be engaged, curious, and respectful, and do ask all the questions that you may have. So to kickstart the session, I would like to invite the superwoman herself, Madhura Das Gupta Sinha, the CEO and founder of Aspire for Her, to say a few words and kick off the session. Over to you, Madhura.
Thank you so much, Preeti. I hate the word superwoman because it just paints women and puts an inordinate amount of pressure on all of them. We are all ordinary people trying to ensure that we do a good job. But thank you to our entire community for turning up in full force for this second event in this wonderful partnership that we have embarked on with Salesforce. A very, very warm welcome to all the members of Salesforce who are coming on our platform for the first time. Jaideep, a special warm welcome to you because today you are the diversity in the room. Thank you very much for being here, walking with us on this journey. Would love to also welcome Suma and Priyanka. This is the first time that you're here on our platform. Aspire for Her is a community. Once you step into Aspire for Her, we like to think that we have you here forever as a member, as a supporter, as a mentor, and generally just to walk with us on this journey as we try to add 1 million women to the workforce by 2025. As most of you know, I've been a banker for 25 years, started Aspire for Her on Women's Day 2020, because I was very disappointed with the economic participation of women in the workforce in India. Thankfully, we realized that there are many organizations who do want to walk the path with us, who share our vision and our mission. And I have to say that Salesforce as an organization has truly walked the path with us. They do want to make a difference, not just to their own workforce, but to the ecosystem in general. And I had the good fortune of having a fireside chat with your wonderful chairperson and CEO, Ms. Arundhati Bhattacharya. And something that she said really, really struck a chord in my heart. You know, when I asked her in a rapid fire round what her favorite song was, I realized that she and I shared this, and it was a very beautiful moment for me. So her favorite song is a Bengali song written by the poet Rabindranath Tagore, and the song is Bipode More Rakkha Karo, E Nohe More Prarthana. The gist of the song really says that if I'm in trouble, don't save me. Give me the strength to bear my adversity. Don't allow me to cry or don't console me when I'm sad, but give me the strength to bear my sorrow. I think that is such a wonderful piece of advice to all the women who want to get into a meaningful career. For all the women today on a break who want to get back, move out of their comfort zones and do something meaningful with their career. And we are so thrilled and so happy that the wonderful team at Salesforce is here today to encourage us, to motivate us, and to see the vision on the path ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mumukshu, Pragya. You guys have been absolutely wonderful. And we are hoping that this conversation becomes more and more powerful, more and more wonderful as we go forward in this partnership of ours. So thank you very much. Lots coming your way. And I won't stand in the way of the wonderful Salesforce team and all of you. Please ask your questions. Talk to them about the kind of amazing career paths that they have. Talk to them about the culture of Salesforce and typically how they exemplify and how they epitomize diversity in all that they say and they do. Thank you very much. Thank you. Back to you, Preeti.
Thank you so much, Madhura. It's always so inspiring to hear you. So before we move ahead, in order to get to know our audience a little better, we have a couple of poll questions which we want the audience to answer. So requesting Priya to launch the first poll. So we just want to know you all a little better as to, are you from a tech background, a non-tech background, and you know, which of the following communities do you belong to? So please do put down your answers. All right, I think we can stop the poll and move ahead. So can we end the poll? Yes. So here we can see that we have a 73% who are from a tech background and 27% from a non-tech background. And there's a huge, huge population of women who are currently on a career break. So yeah, that's interesting to know. So moving on, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all to our distinguished panel today. They are all leaders and role models. Our first esteemed speaker for today is Suma Sushilendra. Suma is working as a senior director in Industries Cloud, Salesforce, for almost 3 years now. Before this, she was working with Microsoft for 18 and a half years. Suma grew up in a small town named Shimoga in the South Indian state of Karnataka and did her bachelor's in instrumentation technology from SJCE, Mysore University. and then went on to do a Master of Technology in Mathematics and Computational Sciences from NIT Surathkal. In her words, got technical education from college and life skills education from the ocean. She worked for Microsoft India until 2019 and took a break of 14 months with an intention to retire completely, but was somehow convinced by her ex manager, who had joined Salesforce then, to join Salesforce. She joined Salesforce in April 2020 and has been with Industries Cloud since then. On the personal side, she has an interest in studying ancient Indian scriptures, also called Vedic scriptures. She has a band at home with her twins playing multiple instruments, including violin, guitar, mridanga, kartal, and other percussion instruments. She plays at the local temples and spiritual congregations. She also mentors youth at local engineering and bachelor colleges on time management, stress management, power of good habits, keeping both your body as well as soul fit, etc. A warm welcome, Suma. Our next distinguished speaker for today is Jaideep Ganguly. Jaideep is currently Vice President of Software Development at Salesforce. Prior to this, he has spent nearly a decade at Amazon, where he was Director of Software Development. Before that, he was a director at Microsoft Windows Server Division. He has deep expertise in developing large-scale distributed systems, machine learning, and mathematics. He has also written several books and delivered invited talks at IIT Kharagpur, IIT Hyderabad, ISB Hyderabad, Stanford, and Cornell University. He is an alumnus of the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and has received the degrees of Doctor of Science and Master of Science from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. A warm welcome to you, Jaideep.
Thank you.
And our final esteemed speaker for today is Priyanka Kerharkar. Priyanka is an engineering leader with over 20 years of experience in conception, analysis, architecture design, and development of world-class products and multi-tier enterprise applications. She has a passion for building high-performing teams and delivering results while innovating every step of the way. Priyanka joined Salesforce in 2019 and led the development CPQ, billing, and subscription management key features like tax, payment, invoicing, quoting, and pricing. Prior to Salesforce, Priyanka led Pega Robotics product in Pega India. She has extensive experience in the BFSI segment in Morgan Stanley and Citigroup, particularly in risk application, reconciliation, fix, SWIFT, SOX compliance, and Basel III compliance. She is also passionate about women and children issues and is involved in diversity hiring and mentorship. She is a contributor of children's education and hunger eradication programs. A warm welcome, Priyanka. Now, moving forward, our moderator for today is Lata Valuri. Lata is a Senior Program Manager, TPIL APAC at Salesforce. She is a talent development leader with over 18 years of experience. She likes solving measurable competency needs for teams through training, development, and engagement. She is a certified executive coach with Gallup, Marshall Goldsmith, and Harrison Assessments. Lata is extremely good at relating to people. She is one of those few people who can say, "My job is my passion." Apart from helping people, teams, and organizations in becoming high performers, Lata also enjoys painting, reading, and cooking for friends and family. Lata also loves being a proud mother of her daughter and being on a mutual loving and learning journey with her partner. A warm welcome, Lata. I will now hand over the stage to you and the amazing panel. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Preeti. That was such a wonderful introduction to our esteemed leaders here. I'm so excited and thankful to Mumukshu and Pragya for giving me this forum where I can have a fun job of asking some very important questions to our leaders. So let me begin with the first question, and this comes straight to you, Jaydeep, because I think it takes commitment and courage to be the only man in a forum like this. So we'd love to hear what brings you here and all your thoughts, which are very valuable for all of us. So the first question to you, Jaydeep, and Priyanka, you can take it after Jaydeep. And my first question to you is, core engineering skills are essential for a successful engineering career, period, right? We all know that. But what, according to you, are the core skills for engineering, and how can one brush those skills?
So first of all, thank you for inviting me. And you asked me this question, it takes a courage. Well, I think it takes a lot of commitment. I firmly believe as a nation, if you are not represented, 50% of your workforce is not represented, then the country is losing out. Think of the GDP, and we have a long way to go. And without dwelling much on the topic, I will say my wife, my daughter are very professionals, and they have their own careers, and I'm all supportive. I'm supportive of not just talking about it, but articulating precise ways. And that's what I'm going to talk about, how women can actually achieve their fair share of the marketplace at all levels. Now, to answer this particular question, I would say, software, we're in the business of software, and any large corporation such as Salesforce has a very complex piece of code. And anything that is large by definition is complex. You never know what will go wrong where. And just to give you a sense, Salesforce source code is probably well over 100 million lines of code. I've heard different numbers, but it's massive. It takes 76 GB of memory to boot the machine and so on. So which means that anybody who wants to work in Salesforce needs to have a very analytical mindset, which means I should be able to sort of understand a problem, break down into logical parts, and go in a very scientific way of figuring out. And no one will know everything, right? I mean, I don't know everything, obviously, and no one knows. But how do you essentially, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. So you have to have that skill. And this is learnable. And that's also depends on your interest. But to a great extent, it's learnable in terms of how you build that skill to understand a problem and make step-by-step progress. So I'm not specifically talking about any specific technology, but I'm talking more about the mindset. And then when you sort of have that analytical mindset, with that comes the natural things, which is strong coding skills, strong debugging skills, and obviously having a very strong foundation in algorithms. Those three aspects, I would say, are fundamental to succeed in any large software organization such as Salesforce, which is a very analytical mindset, a mindset which says, well, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn anything that's thrown my way. Learnability is key. And when you have a foundation of algorithms and a foundation of language skills in any language, I think that will come to you automatically. I can dwell on more details later, but I hope this answers your question for now.
Absolutely, Jaydeep. Priyanka, would you like to add something?
Sure. So thank you first for having me here. And Jyoti, ditto. I think you're spot on that along with the analytical skills. And if you are on a break, you can brush these skills. There are various HackerRank kind of applications where you can go and brush your skills on that, right? And make sure that you are you have that strong coding algorithm base. But I would also want to touch base on what is happening in the industry, right? I don't know how long there've been 73% who are on break in this forum, for how long you have been on break, but there are skills that are futuristic, right? AI, machine learning is front and center of everything right now. The scale at which we are working, so every single thing from a device which is at your home to business processes, we are collecting data at every step of the way, right? This data we need mechanisms first to store such a data to scale to that level. So cloud computing, cloud, various kinds of clouds you can sort of take those courses on Coursera, etc., sort of to get abreast with some of the public clouds over there, right? So cloud computing is front and center. There are databases that scale. There are, so that is also one of the key things that is really, futuristic. Then, like I said, with this data, you're supposed to get information as to what this data is about, do analysis on this data. So data storage, data mining is one thing, but the data analysis and the entire data science behind that. So there are various opportunities within that, and there are various courses available for data science as well, which sort of marry the entire data that is stored to finding the information and deducing what is required to be done with that data. So with all of these things, what is important is security, right? When you are collecting so much data, there has to be secure systems, and with everyone on internet and everyone looking to get access to that kind of data, security is front and center to all of these systems. So for companies like Salesforce, to build trust with our customers, security is the key, and security engineers, the kind of threats that we are seeing today is like unprecedented. So threat analysis and penetration testing and something like an ethical hacking, if that's your thing, ethical hacking, then that is something that can be inculcated. If you have that kind of a brain where you go nagging into other people's things, then that could be it, right? With that, right, in general, the Internet of Things, the robotics, the AI, all of these, it's more like interdisciplinary, right? Any engineer now is not just a UI engineer. A UI engineer needs to know security, or a backend engineer needs to know scale and cloud computing. So there is a lot of interdisciplinary stuff going on with one engineer. So of course, the basis of it is what Jaideep said, but there are courses for you to sort of get a jump start into some of these upcoming futuristic areas, venues to get back into the workforce.
Thank you for that, Priyanka. I like how Jaideep started with the mindset rather than the skill set, right? And I think that is the core for anybody to be successful in whatever they're doing. So just to summarize, Jaideep did talk about mindset, analytical mindset, and learnability to be able to, you're continuously learning on your jobs, and how prone are you to be able to learn on the job is very, very crucial for your success. To summarize these skills that you have stated, Priyanka, future skills like cloud computing, data science, security systems, ethical hacking, AI, Internet of Things, all of these are some things which go hand in hand when it comes to your engineering skills. In very, very important aspects that we want to think about. Before I go to the second question, Suma, do you want to throw a little light on the return to work program that you have begun in your industry? before we move to the next question? I think there's a question around it, and it'll be a right time for us to talk about it.
Sure, Lata. And again, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure being here. Return to work is my favorite topic. Why? Because as it was said in my introduction, I came to Salesforce after 14 months of break. Actually, it was not a break. I thought I retired, but somehow I was brought back. But I can tell you what goes on. 14 months in a fast changing technical domain area, it feels like a long time actually. So the first and foremost, I would say, is to sort of accept that there has been a break and things might or might not have moved on from the last time that we had witnessed the tech scene and corporate scene and whatnot. So accepting the break, right? One thing that doesn't change is our skill to solve problems at the heart and core of everything that we do, right? We are solving a problem that is close to our hearts, that is prevalent in the market, and there is demand for such a solution, right? At the core of everything that we do, there is a problem solving need. Engineers are basically problem solvers. That's how I look at it. And as long as we keep the problem solving spirit alive, gap is just a number. Don't worry about it, right? Keep that spark of solving the problem alive, and you can return back to whatever has a calling for you at any time after any kind of gap. This is what I would like to say. I deeply believe that you have something to offer, and rest assured you will have something to offer to the world, right? Sometimes I consider the break as an edge, to be very frank, because you then get to bring a very different perspective that most of the people who are continuously working may lack, right? Something to have something different, believe me, is an edge. That's how I would say.
Very encouraging, Suma, as always. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So let's lighten up this mood a little bit. I think it got a little serious. So let's talk about where's your mind at nowadays. So my next question is to all three of you. Whoever is ready can grab it first. What's the new technology that you're playing with right now, or you're excited about when it comes to 2023?
I can go first if it's okay, Lata. So
Sure.
the latest thing that I'm playing with is Chat GPT, with all of the publicity it got with Satya Nadella, who was visiting India office in Microsoft last week. And what got me really hooked onto it is its amazing capability to carry out the conversation in a very humane manner. It even admits its mistakes. Can you believe that? I think half the humans can't. And challenge incorrect premises and reject inappropriate requests. Amazing technology. So I have been trying that out a lot.
Yeah. Well, can I go a second or? Okay, thanks. There are three areas which I think are seeing massive changes, and getting into the specifics. Where do you apply your learnability and analytical mindset that we talked about? Now, there are many areas. There are databases, security, networking, and you all know about that stuff. But the phenomenal changes that are happening right now are in the area of cloud, in the area of languages for coding, and in the area of AI, which Suma just mentioned about ChatGPT. So I will just spend like 30 seconds on each, because one could spend weeks on each of them. So what's happening on the cloud? I think gone are the days when people will have servers under their table that you all know. My own Windows server team is defunct. It's all in the cloud. So ability to understand any cloud like AWS or Azure or anything, is something almost essential. It's like driving. Every woman needs to be able to drive. So I would say cloud technologies and I would even say it is probably better to get a certification. And I have always encouraged that. So that's the basic. And one of the challenges with cloud is that it's like a constantly moving, today you find something, next day it's changed. So keeping up with that itself is a challenge. The second one I would say is the languages. All along history, we have had varieties of languages, and they had all their capabilities, but they were all memory unsafe and they were all thread unsafe. And that is why DevOps is such a big deal. To keep stuff running in the cloud would need you to be always fixing something or the other with related to memory or thread contentions. Pardon me for being technical. I realize a quarter of people are not technical, but I'll make it brief. It simply means if you write a piece of code, it doesn't mean that it's going to run forever. But now for the last few years, we have new technologies. I'm talking about Rust as a language, which is memory safe, which is thread safe. It is hugely popular in the cloud infrastructure area, not so much elsewhere, but I would encourage people to take a look at it and make up your own mind. There's a lot of stuff that is out there in the public domain that I have written in my own blogs and so on. And finally, the most exciting thing that's happening is ChatGPT, as Suma just said. It's interesting to note this started 5 years ago with a technology called LSTM, long short-term memory. For those of you, it was kind of ignored in those days. That's when OpenAI started, and then Google came up with something called BERT, bidirectional encoding. Facebook expanded it to Roberta, and now because OpenAI has been bought by Microsoft, it's called a Microsoft product. It's actually OpenAI and ChatGPT. These are neural networks with 1 billion plus parameters, just mind-boggling, and they're amazing. They do amazing stuff. So the areas of machine learning, AI, obviously are hot stuff, and it's still unknown to what extent there will be AI. That's something still debatable, but I would encourage you to get familiarized. So in summary, I know it's not possible to learn all three. It's kind of tough to spread that thin, but the cloud technologies, the new languages, and AI, ML, these are the most emerging stuff. That doesn't mean, large-scale databases or security are any less important. I'm not suggesting that. So you have to pick where your passion is and one of the things I would say, one of the most important things is to say that anybody who gets into an area should aspire to say, it's not about men and women. I'm the best in the world. So we need to go in the mindset that you have to say, if I get into this territory in this area, I am the Tendulkar or the Virat Kohli or whatever sport you prefer. That you have to say, I am the best. And I think that is the single most recipe of being absolutely unstoppable. And the world is yours.
Very encouraging. We're going to take that away, Jaideep. I am the best at whatever I do. I think nothing can beat that. Priyanka, your thoughts. What are you playing with?
So let me, so since ChatGPT and AI and all of cloud is also covered, so let me just go to what I am liking these days, especially over the lockdown. I really like my RoboVac. I would want such, vacuums, the robots things. So a lot of women will agree with me that such innovations are great and we would want more of them. Yeah.
Very, very practical. Very, very practical. Yes, we want that robo back and working and become more efficient over the period of years so that we can have the careers that we want to have, right? Absolutely. Amazing. Great. Important thoughts. Jaideep, there are a couple of questions that are directly coming to you. One of them says, what certifications would you recommend to a non-tech candidate?
I think that AWS operations can be a non-tech, you don't necessarily need to be a programmer. So that's something there are various levels of AWS certifications, a lot of them. So you can actually pick them. And I would say those would be a good place to start with. Yes, Priyanka, you said something?
Can I add to that? So we also have technical writers in these companies, right? They have to be a bit of technical, right? Where they have to write documentation on how the product works and stuff, right? So if you're not looking for a completely tech role, this is slightly tech in the sense you need to know the applications with which you do the documentation and stuff. But technical writers are also in good demand, so to speak.
There's one other question. I think it's referring to why are people so skeptical to hire women after break?
Yes.
Can I take that question?
Sure, Jaydeep.
Sure.
Yeah. So I am never skeptical to hire anybody after a break, and women need a break. We all know that. So I think if you demonstrate that your interest lies in a certain area and you have made you have traveled some distance, you may not have covered all the distance, then I think a company like Salesforce is certainly encouraging to look at such candidates and see how they can fit in the various roles we have. So, and that is the purpose of this meeting. This is a great organization where diversity is so important. It is not just a slogan. As you can see from this panel, I'm the minority, and I think that the challenge is many times companies have the leader who's going to hire. They have some pressing goals to deliver within a certain time frame, and they are kind of worried that if somebody is out of touch with that area, how long will she take or he take to come up to speed? That's what goes at the back of my mind. But if you're able to demonstrate that, look, I can sprint fast, then I think there are a lot of people who are willing to take the bet. So I wouldn't say that people are skeptical to be hiring women after a break. I have had many candidates like that, and I'm never skeptical. I look at the potential. Hiring is always on potential, by the way. Great extent is potential.
That's such an important reality to know for all the participants today, Jaydeep, and thanks for saying that. So I'll jump right into this aspect that we're discussing because there are a lot of questions in terms of return to work. So let's pick that up for now. Like you rightly said, Jaydeep, career breaks are always challenging, especially for women, and it becomes more challenging for them. So how a woman looking to return for an engineering world can restart their professional journey? Any advices on tips on panel? Suma, you want to talk about it? Jaydeep, Priyanka, anybody who's ready to grab this question, please go ahead.
Yeah, Jaydeep, can I go?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So just 3 months back, we hired 10 candidates in this category, Lata. So they're all software engineers. And again, the same kind of skill sets that were spoken about in the answer to your first question, right? Problem solving, algorithms, familiarity with databases and how to, deal with them, how to query them, concepts and methodologies around it, and some level of programming, right? And we took a big leap of faith, to be very frank, right? And it is all paying off. It is just the matter of sort of shining through and wiping the dust off of a sharp weapon, and just to realize it's regain back its glory, kind of a thing. And this is all you need. Pick a favorite programming language of yours. Usually nowadays it's Python or Java, but it doesn't matter. It could be C#. One traditional object-oriented programming language or any dynamic programming language. And if you can look around and spot problems and solve it through that favorite programming language of yours, that's all we want. It could be anything. I don't know. Yeah, when I was in high school, I just looked around and spotted a few problems that can be solved by computer science. At that point of time, I hadn't even seen a computer. I had just heard about it. And here are the problems I jotted down. Just repeating, just to drive the point home, it can be very simple. If you want to track your expenses, where what is going, there are tools and apps to do that, but try building yourself, for example. At the end of every month, you should be able to say, I spent this much, but this much went in groceries, double click. This much went in a particular grocery store, so that you'll be able to say, whenever I go to this grocery store, I tend to spend more. How many times you ate out, and being able to look back in 6 months and say, looks like this is the pattern of going out and eating for us. Try to do this using this one single tool, and then make it very easy to use for yourself. The bills are there wherever you go, wherever you spend. Maybe you take a picture of that and your software can scan it and read it, right? Up it, take it to that, increase its advance it, right? Maybe it is voice operated. You just say, I just now spent 1,000 rupees in Ratnadeep, and it makes a note of it and puts it in the right place in the table, whatever that is. It could be a database, Excel sheet, whatever, but automatically it enters into that grocery store data. Over the time, it understands Ratnadeep is a grocery store. Chutneys is a restaurant. AI for you. So imagine, look around, world is full of problems. There is no dearth of problems. That's the beauty.
That's an awesome. Thank you so much. That's so nicely put. And if I just add one little thing, when you do these things, put it up on GitHub, make your own repo, write your own docs there. And when you go and talk to somebody and say, hey, I learned this technology, this is what I played with. And that, even if you're coming back to workforce after 10 years, that's going to impress anybody.
And lastly, I would add to that is have confidence, right? Women have this tendency to sell themselves short. And that's how, we always end up negotiating less or not having confidence. On the same topic, it's very, very clear that as a man would just be very confident, even if they have the same level of knowledge. But the woman will take a step back and saying that maybe I don't know it good enough, right? So I think for every such thing, have confidence in yourself that you are worth it and you are able to do, and you will be able to do it. So as you go into the journey, it is always that whatever you did in the beginning is now very easy for you. Now ABCD is, for example, very easy for a child which is grown up, right? So similarly, things that you think are, it's going to be very tough, take a step back and think that, it's not that tough, right? I just have to learn it. And I just have to have the confidence to sort of get a hold of it. But other than that, I think all these skills and all, just have confidence in yourself, you'll be able to come back.
So true, so true. And one other aspect I just wanted to add, because we do groom people within Salesforce to think about their careers very, very differently, right? Jobs are different, careers are different. They require two different mindsets and two different action items, right? So if you're thinking about returning to work, I know 75% of this population is return to work. Look at your LinkedIn profiles. Are you aware of what organizations are doing what for women, right? Improve your knowledge and chase those organizations rather than just simply taking anything that comes your way, right? Gather information, build your story in such a way that it aligns with what the organizations are doing for their women who are already with them. So think about it as a career, focus less on the break. Like Suma and Jaideep rightly said, it's not about the break, but it is what you bring to the table. And have the confidence that Priyanka is talking about, right? I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat. Thank you, Alpana. Alpana thinks all of you are a great panel and adding a whole lot of value. I 100 that, not just second that. Which brings us to the next question, which I think will sit very well with all the comments that we are seeing in the chat. The recent women's workplace survey suggests climbing up the seniority ladder, the share of the women holding managers roles kind of dropped down to 18%, right? We would like to understand from our panel, how can a woman who's building her career also build the ecosystem to shape the professional journey that they aim for, right? Like to become engineering leaders or engineering managers. What are your thoughts? How should a woman go about it?
Anybody wants to go first?
Sorry, I didn't mention the person that I want to put this question to. It'll be Priyanka and Suma, please. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, so the ecosystem should be one which is equality, right? So which gives you equality, a gender, there is no gender bias, right? But that very rarely happens, right? So in the sense, in the real world, there are biases of individuals, if not the company, right? So the company may be very neutral, very this, right? But there are biases of people, right? So you have to be aware of those biases, but I would say do not focus on those biases and what people may have, right? For yourself, right? Keep a very clear, like I said, confidence is the key for yourself. Now, when you are rising to different roles, right, there are your mentors who are basically fighting for your cause. Somebody who's giving me promotions to a senior level. There is someone else who is presenting my case in that forum where I am not privy to this. So yes, my work should speak for me, but at the same time, you should have those folks who are ready to fight your cause and who already believe in you, right? And for that matter, right, an ecosystem of mentors, and it not necessarily has to be a female mentor. I think male allies in workplace are just as effective, right, to succeed. Also, when you're going to higher levels, there is also the people who you manage, right? And I have seen so many times that those people are really the people who make me successful, right? So how are you dealing with those folks who are reporting to you, right? How are you up? So every single time I am reading the self-development books to make sure that I am a great manager and I am succeeding and I'm making my people successful to be successful, right? And that's very important. And that is how you build an ecosystem which will help you climb all the ladders, right? Yep.
Yeah, very well said, Priyanka. What I would like to add quickly is, for most part, what makes a man a very good manager are basically the same things that would actually make a woman also a good leader. Okay, there is not much difference. You replace the manager by an individual contributor, that remains the same. But there are a few probably other things to watch out for being women. Personally, I have observed that it takes a lot for a woman to take the lead, take the charge, take that first step up, right? I'll tell you an example. I was 20 years back, I was a junior engineer. I was in a Microsoft parking lot celebrating one of the Windows releases. And my corporate CVP, Brian Valentine at that time, addressing 3,500 people. That's why we were having the party in a parking lot. He said, after everything, all the release ceremony and everything, he said, who wants to go out for lunch with me? All of a sudden, right? The corporate VP is asking on the phone, on the microphone, right? So how many you should have seen, really? I mean, the probability of men raising their hand versus women raising a hand to such an offer, you can only imagine. And he chose the first woman who raised her hand, Rebecca Norlander. She was the technical fellow at Microsoft for a long time at Windows. And she went out to lunch with him, and she actually talked about all of the security problems with Windows. So basically, where I'm going with this is leadership has a lot to do with taking that lead, taking charge, and stepping up. And the second thing that's very close to my heart is that there is a concept called servant leadership. This is much more prevalent and well-known term today rather than a decade ago. So, to be a leader, we should be able to serve selflessly and without stopping, very consistently. This at first may sound like how is this going to matter? But this is what actually sets a leader apart. If I'm here to enable my team to sort of be successful, I'm here to serve my team so that they are successful, they are achieving their dreams. And that is what it takes to be a leader, according to me.
Thanks for the story. There's so many stories you have, Suma. One day we have to do a coffee break for sure. No, thanks for this, for all of these, because 75% of this particular audience is looking for it. One other aspect I really wanted to add is building that ecosystem. That word ecosystem is so important for building your career. People might be thinking if it is career, it's just professional, but I think for a woman to be successful, you have to build that ecosystem both professionally as well as personally, right? What kind of conversations are you having at home, right? What support are you asking for at home, right? What conversations are you having with your partners, with your children, with your in-laws? And what kind of conversations are you having when you have a job, right? What support system? And one most important aspect is having a mentor through and through. Do you guys want to shed some light on the importance of mentor? I think, like Suma, you rightly said, it doesn't matter man or a woman. The role of a mentor is so much more crucial. I would love to hear your thoughts about how do you go about finding, why is it important to have a mentor in your career? Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I would say mentors are as essential as food, water, and air. Really, I mean, this is not a very emotional statement. This is the fact. We need role models. Do you imagine how the state of yoga was in our country before Narendra Modi and Shilpa Shetty became Baba Ramdev became icons? Yoga has been there since time immemorial, thousands of years. In the last decade alone, we have an International Yoga Day. So many people practicing yoga. Why? Because of role models. And mentors are these role models that we can look up to. They have been there and done that what we wish to do, right? Where we wish to be and what we want to be. They have already done that. That's why it's very important to have mentors of all sorts, at home, at a workplace, everywhere, more so for professional life. It's very, very important. And we should seek, and companies should foster environments where mentoring and mentorships are very much encouraged and even incentivized.
Yeah, we'll take that, Suma, very seriously, because it's coming from a person who built a mentoring ecosystem within Salesforce for our women leadership program. So we'll take that seriously. Priyanka, Jayati.
So, yeah, totally right. And the thing that you said, Lata, right, that, have that ecosystem at home as well, very important, right? But I would say that for nowadays, like men and women have the same kind of challenges, but still women take a larger role at home, which is how much ever we say that it's there should be equality there, but every single time you will end up sort of taking that more of the childcare, etc., right? And the thing is, don't feel guilty. I would say just, for every which way. I think men always also do feel guilty if they're not spending enough time at home. So I would say it's no more women versus men kind of thing, but still, yeah, women have to make sure that their ecosystem at the home is such that, sort of helps them in going to work or, doing their work without any hindrances, for sure. In my career, I have had similar. So my today came to know that you also have twins. So yes, I was also blessed with twins, and suddenly you have this like lot going on at home, right? It's difficult to suddenly take care of two babies, and we were in US at the time, so we had absolutely no help. We were both of us were overworked, right? We were so. There are decisions that we had to make, but like, for example, childcare was very expensive for two children over there to put them in daycare. I still continued to work in whatever capacity. So I continued my work, how much ever I could. I took a break of 5 months whenever I wanted, right? So whatever works. Yeah, but just be on top of whatever is happening to your life and adjusting to it. But always understand what you want. If that's the life that you want, go for it, right? And if you want to go back to work, go for it, right? And make sure that all of things will fall in place if you really want it.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add that once you define your passion, it's really a good idea to define your role model, who you think is the Messi, if you like soccer. And then you need to find a mentor who's your trusted advisor. He or she, it doesn't matter who that person is watching you from the outside and sort of telling you these are the things that you need to change or get better as a friend. And so having that mirror is super important to progress. So I would encourage to define a role model and a mentor. And I think that progressing in the career is largely defined, but to a great extent, I should say, defined by the ability to communicate in written and verbal. Once you are obviously get very good at some area, whatever your passion is, but then to influence others in a diverse setting, the only mechanism and tool that you have with you is what I would call an influencer. I mean, you see all these YouTube influencers these days. They have 1 million following overnight, and they have a content. All they have is a content. YouTube is a virtual way of speaking and writing, and that's something one needs to be very good at. So therefore, it's not enough to simply say I'm very good in technology and I can do this or do that, or I'm a great accountant, but also to be able to say to the others that, look, I think there's a problem with these balance sheets, and people have to trust you and believe you, and that's not that easy until you sort of develop that skill. So I would say that's also extremely important as you become a leader and grow up the ladder.
Is that hint to us, Jaideep, that we will see you as an influencer very soon in 2023? We've taken the hint.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I have too many other interests. I am a mentor for T-Hub, the Telangana hub.
Awesome.
On startups, so I do that in my little way of advising people and mentoring young guys with a lot of energy to make sure that, they succeed.
Awesome.
Someone succeed for sure. So I don't know if you can count that as
absolutely, absolutely. No, absolutely. I think we're very grateful to have leaders like you within Salesforce, and so much that we learn from you on a day-to-day basis. We are right on top
of versa, sorry. Mutual, vice versa. I learned from others.
I'm obliged. But no, this has been very amazing. I had a whole lot of fun. We are right on top of the hour. So we will say bye to all the participants with one fun fact about yourself.
All right, let me go. Okay, so one fun fact is like after I would say 25 years of being away from college, I started singing again, which I used to in college, and did this small karaoke group and stuff like that, right? And it's been good, and that just keeps me de-stressed and you know makes me happy. And that's a fun fact about me.
You
Thank
get
you, Priyanka. Suma.
okay. I thought I'll go lost. One fun fact about me is I can write a drama or a skit at the drop of a hat for any given situation. If you want to do a drama for somebody's send off or somebody's anniversary or anything, usually humor based, basically, I can write screenplay for any situation.
It's more like Chat GPT, isn't
Maybe chat GPT will outdo me now, outwit me.
Jaideep.
I've been playing piano for a very long time, many years. And so I have my little bunch of people who we play a lot together, whatever we like. So that keeps us, at least ourselves entertained. Not sure about the audience.
Amazing. We have a culture committee right here. So I'll now know next time who to reach out to. Thank you so much for all your time, all your wisdom. It's been a great pleasure talking to each of you. Jaideep, Suma, Priyanka, thank you so much. Over to you, Preeti.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much, Lata, and thank you, a great panel. It was really interesting to hear each of you, share all the wisdom that you had, the words of wisdom. And I'm sure that, everyone here now knows, what skills they really need to upskill themselves on. And if they're really looking at a career in engineering. And it's really interesting to note, some of the things that I really picked up was, how having an analytical mindset and the learnability attitude is so critical. Also, we at Aspire for Her, we have a pretty large community of women who are currently on a career break. And raring to get back into the corporate world. So it was really interesting to note some of the things that you all mentioned about, how critical problem solving abilities are, and how, we women tend to kind of have we are low on self-confidence, even though we have the potential and skills. So these are some things that I'm sure the audience here have definitely picked up, apart from all the other things that you all did mention. I'm sure, we can go on and on, but in the interest of time, we would have to, bring this to a close. If we could take maybe 2 to 3 questions, if, the panel is okay. Maybe there are a lot of questions, but if we could just probably have maybe a couple of questions answered before we close it, if that's all right. I just could see a few questions. Something around what about how would you guide engineers who don't have any programming knowledge? That was one of the questions I picked up. Anybody would like to take it?
So if you don't have a programming programming language background, if you are up for it, go ahead to do a course on any programming language. But if you're asking for some parallel jobs that don't require as much of programming, then yes, there are support, there is operations, there are within engineering, and like I said, technical writing, etc., which don't require you to have a programming knowledge, but like a sort of analytical bent of mind, if you may, right? So yeah, there are various avenues like that. Salesforce has a number of courses that you can do, and there are for sort of knowing the products and implementing some of the products. So you can do some of those courses and get yourself as a Salesforce developer, sort of. Yeah, but some programming would be required, I think, for those courses as well. So you might want to do some course in that as well.
Sure, thank you. And I can also see a question about some recommending a good certification for AI, ML, and data science.
Do you guys know any? I would just go on to Coursera or Udemy and look for some course, top rated one. Do you know, Jerry?
You know, I would say that if you go to the internet, YouTube, you are going to find a lot of really good courses to start with. Before you plunge into Coursera or anywhere else, I would say take a look at all those and sort of get started before you spend money.
Sure. I think we are running out of time, so probably we'll just have the questions sent across and maybe have those answered. Just before we close, there is one last poll that we would like the audience to, answer. So, Priya, requesting you to please launch the last poll. Requesting everyone to answer the poll. We'll just keep it for like a minute. All right. So I think we'll just we are done, I think. So thank you so much to each of the esteemed panelists, Suma, Jaideep, and Priyanka, for taking out time and being here and giving us all this insightful session about all the skills that are required uh, for anybody who's looking at an engineering domain career. Thank you so much, Lata, for moderating this session. Thank you to the entire Salesforce team, Pragya, Mumukshu, Yoshita, for making us, have this event possible. And thank you everybody for joining in today, for taking out time. We will be coming soon with the next event with Salesforce. So do, keep your eyes and ears open. And thank you to the entire Aspire for team who also made this event possible. We hope you are excited about Salesforce. We surely are. And have a great evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.